10 survival tips. Number 1, prepare while you're comfortable. Master your weapons, save money, seeds. Learn to grow food, identify an emergency meeting place, etc. Number 2, pay attention and learn constantly from books, people, the environment, etc. Number 3, build community with intention. Choose your people carefully. Share responsibility, resources, and vision. Number 4, pack light and be ready to leave, always. Number 5, language shapes reality. Number 6, don't deny reality. Face hard truths with courage and clarity. Number 7, prepare for loss, but don't let it stop you from growing, loving, or planning. Number 8, soon as it's safe to go, grieve your losses. Number 9, dream beyond the crisis. See and build a future worth living for. Number 10, God is change. Anticipate changes in the climate, in politics, in your relationships, everything, and prepare to move with it. And next, a poem, The Facts of Life, by Padraig Otuma. That you were born and you will die. That you will sometimes love enough and sometimes not. That you will lie, if only to yourself. That you will get tired. That you will learn most from the situations you did not choose. That there will be some things that move you more than you can say. That you will live, that you must be loved. That you will avoid questions most urgently in need of your attention. That you began as a fusion of a sperm and an egg of two people who once were strangers and may well still be. That life isn't fair. That life is sometimes good and sometimes better than good. That life is often not so good. That life is real, and if you can survive it, well, survive it well, with love and art and meaning given where meaning's scarce. That you will learn to live with regret. That you will learn to live with respect. That the structures that constrict you may not be permanently constricting. That you will probably be okay. That you must accept change before you die, but you will die anyway. So you might as well live, and you might as well love. You might as well love. You might as well love.
Resilience is how I may cough and choke just a little bit, but I will get the words out. Resilience is how we recover and transform. Resiliency is inherent in nature. Resiliency is in our nature. Resiliency is regenerative in our interdependency. Today I'm going to share 3 recent stories. It is often advised of ministers that we don't share from our lives that which is not yet scabbed over. In other words, don't bleed on your congregation. I think this is good advice. But that doesn't mean that I can't or shouldn't or won't share something and some things that I and that all of us are still very much in the midst of, things that intersect with my role as your minister and in my broader ministries and in my life and in our lives, right? So I'm not going to be bleeding on you, I promise that. But I do want to preface to say that the stories I'm going to share are very much alive in the messiness and the chaos of the now, of what we are all living through, what we are all being changed by, what we are reacting to and responding from a place of. And while there will be an obvious context of what I'll be sharing, it's about the occupation that is happening and the fascism that is upon us. I hope that the stories and the words that will be shared can be held also simultaneously in a broader light in this swirl of survival and transitions and the facts that life and God and the universe and all, everything is always constantly changing. Every breath, every moment, every part and parcel of our life and our stories are change. I am always changing. We are always changing. Scoof is always changing. Scoof's home is changing. People's lives and patterns are being changed. Sometimes that might feel like a disruption, but change nonetheless. And so for today's message, I'm leaning into this quote by Adrienne Marie Brown. Resilience is unveiled when we are triggered, injured, heartbroken, attacked, or challenged. Let me say that again. Resilience, which is the theme that we are diving into this month. Resilience is unveiled when we are triggered, injured, heartbroken, attacked, challenged. Within each of those things, there is obviously a spectrum within. So hold that to the complexity of all of this. All right, so 3 stories. I'm going to watch the clock as carefully as I can because I want us to do some sharing afterwards, some stories that can be brought into this circle. So I'm going to share some 3 stories, some of the messiness that is within them, and then I hope that we can have a little time so that at least a few people can share some stories as well. So today is February 1st. Today is a Sunday. A week ago, Thursday and Friday, March, Multi-Faith Anti-Racism Change and Healing, a collective that I am part of as both a person as well as my role at Moose Jaw, the Minnesota UU Social Justice Alliance. We are a collective that's been around for decades of a bunch of faithy people of across all kinds of traditions. Some of us, most of us just as ourselves, some of us representing the communities that we might be part of. And a week before, we had this audacious idea that we're going to, a scrappy collective, not an organization, not a nonprofit, just a group of people who are in relationship with each other, decided that we were going to issue, I don't need to look at this, I have nothing written down. That we are going to issue a nationwide call for clergy and faith leaders, however you might want to describe yourself, clergy and faith leaders, to come to Minneapolis to bear witness, to learn, and to take action. Come here. It was modeled after the call to Selma, right? This was a call to Minneapolis. We came up with the idea, I think, on a Thursday. The website went live on Friday. The event was the following Thursday. The response was overwhelming. We brought in more and more people to help us put this on. We brought in national partners within our respective organizations. The Unitarian Universalist Association's Side with Love team stopped everything that they were doing to help us with so much work. We ended up at the date, literally the day before the event, finally solidifying the location, which was Westminster Presbyterian Church in downtown Minneapolis. If you've ever been there, this is a very grand, wealthy-looking church, very traditional, that can hold 1,000 people. We ended up cutting off registrations because in part it was a pure capacity issue, and in other part it was because we were trying to model the reality of the situation on the ground and the reality of organizing, which is messy and it is fluid, and we're responding to the moment. And some people got really annoyed with us. They're like, why don't you just get a bigger place? Why don't you hold it in a hotel or at the convention center? Why don't you make room for all of us? Well, for one thing, this wasn't a conference. This wasn't a convention. This was a call to come and see what it actually is like. Testimony that many of you here have expressed through your own experience or the experience of your families or loved ones or people in your circle. You know what it is like. You know the reality on the ground. This wasn't a look-see-see-see, come and experience as a tourist what is coming. This is to deepen into the realities of how our faith, our beliefs, our values, what we hold most dear, that which we are trying to imagine beyond the chaos, how that is alive, how resistance is alive, and how the people are resilient, and also how the people are scared and doing their very best and responding and getting hurt and getting taken and seeing our neighbors taken as well. This was a time for people to come together in song, in prayer, in community, and to then also go out onto the streets. And during that day, last Thursday, we were supposed to have one opportunity for people to come on a bus, up to 200 people we could take on buses that we had contracted, to go to the Whipple Detention Center. Whipple is the home of ICE. It's where people are detained all across the state of Minnesota, North Dakota. It is a 5-state area that is in its jurisdiction. And it was too spicy there. That's a term we use in movement work to say things are hot, dangerous, not a place to come prepared. Not a place that we could take hundreds of people from out of town to bear witness. And literally, at the last second, one of our team members says, because at first we were just going to keep everybody at the church, they said, no, they need to go out. Go to Lake Street. Take them to Lake Street. Have them get out of the bus and just walk along Lake Street. Talk to the restaurant owners. Talk to the observers that are on the streets. You will see ICE agents on Lake Street. Go and bear witness and see what it's like. We will keep you as safe as we can. You get on the bus. I don't have my whistle on me. Everybody had whistles. Everybody was buddied up. Go see what is happening. Go see. Because you need to bring these stories back to your communities. You need to prepare your communities for what is happening if it's not already there. So we issued this national call. There was over 600 people that responded. We were there with them all day long. And this led into a second day, which was not just March, but was also Isaiah, which is a Minnesota statewide faith-based organization, plus unions, plus a whole lot of people. I'm sure you saw this on the news. Huge, 10,000 people, I think, took the street in downtown Minneapolis. And there was this little thing that happened over at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport where 100 of us, clergy members and faith leaders, made a choice to engage in nonviolent civil disobedience and risk arrest. And I was one of those persons that said yes. There was preparation for those of us who were local. We had a meeting, a secure meeting that went over the risk assessment, went over why this target was chosen, went over how we would be supported, went over the likely charges that we may face. Everything is the likely, the predicted. This is our strategic analysis, our legal analysis of the risk that you are saying yes to taking. We went over what our legal team would be, our jail support team, how we would be transported. We learned all about it. This was for all of us who were local a couple days before this Friday. For those that were not local who were in town, they had about 3 minutes to make a choice. And we told them that the risk is much higher for those of you who are out of town. And we honestly discouraged those out of town and also welcomed them at the same time. But just said, here's the reality of what it'll be for you who are out of town. And then that morning, Friday morning, we gathered at a location for a little bit more training, a little bit more preparation to write, it's finally gone off, to write in Sharpie on our arms or on our legs the name of the legal support number that if we were to be detained, that we were to call. It was minus 15 degrees, regular temperature, minus 40 with wind chill. If you're familiar with the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, we entered in through the parking ramp, and there's the departures level, and there's 2 roadways. One roadway is kind of like less used. I don't know who it's for, if it's like buses or valet park. I don't know what it's used for. And then there's the main road that we all use when we go to pick people up or drop people off, right? And we were not blocking that road. That would have been a degree of escalation of shutting the airport down that would have caused some serious trouble. And that wasn't what our strategy was. That wasn't what our goal was. We were on that lesser used lane. And there were a whole bunch of people there that were there because there was a public announcement of a protest, because we were protesting Delta's complicity in this. We were protesting the fact that Minneapolis-St. Paul is where detainees are shackled and loaded on planes to go to deportation centers, detention centers all throughout the country. You can literally see shackles laying on the tarmac outside of the airplane. We have observers that are on the parking lot roof, the top floor of the parking lots with binoculars to bear witness to this, and they are shackled and loaded on the planes. We were there to bear witness and to say in our sense of morality says that we will not stand by silent for this. And we were singing a song over and over and over again, bundled up to high heaven. I had on ski goggles that kept fogging over. My glasses kept fogging over. I was uncomfortable and could hardly see, and we stood eventually in one big long line, about 100 of us in one big long line. We had knee pads at the ready, and when we were told third and final warning, you must You must leave. We got down on our knees and we prayed and we sang and we held in the hearts and in your hearts and in our collective witness that this is not right. This ain't right. This is cruel. This is immoral, and we will not stand for it. And we sang and we waited. I was at the end of the line, towards the end of the line. I was there. I'm not going to say specifics because I can't for the protection of the people, but there was about 100 of us, and there was a good chunk of UU ministers that were there. I'll just say that. A very respectable percentage of that were UU ministers. And as part of the process and safety, you always need to be buddied up, right? You need to have your pal next to you, one or two pals. And my two pals who have been public about this, so I can say their names, Reverend Jen Crow at First Universalist, who I took the streets of the freeway, I-94, back when Philando Castile was murdered. We faced tear gas together. I thought we could get arrested together. So we held arms. And the Minister Emerita of First Universalist, who's been a mentor of mine, Kate Tucker, was on the other side. And the three of us held arms, and we were like, we got each other. We're here. We got each other. We can do this. Just be present. Be here. And we were at the ends that the airport police started on. Luck of the draw, I guess. We weren't out there for very long. Colleagues that were at the other end of the line were out there for about an hour, kneeling on the cold grounds. I want to share the contrast of how we were treated. Airport police, not federal agents, not even like real police. I mean, airport police are real police, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. It was airport police, right? So gentle. I was on the ground. There's a video of it you can see in my Facebook post that got captured, and they helped because I can't get up the ground very easily, and I'm kneeling, and I'm in bulky like 14 layers of clothes and goggles that I can't see out of, and they helped me up off the ground, ma'am. Here, I'm going to help you up now. Turn this way. We had our hands out like this so that we could be zip tied. This is the way to do it because it helps not be so tight and it gives you a little bit more room. It's also a good prayer position, but there's a practical reason that you learn not to go like this or whatever, to actually be handcuffed this way, just in case you need that little friendly survival tip for being arrested. And we were escorted to the buses. They had school buses there, heated school buses waiting for us, and they helped us carefully get on the bus, made sure that our handcuffs, our plastic zip ties were not too tight. They were polite, they were kind, they were friendly, they were considerate. I was one of two idiots who forgot my license back at our original location, even though we were told to bring it, but they took photographs of it and had us put our belongings in plastic baggies, and I just absentmindedly put my driver's license in my baggie, the one thing I was supposed to have on my body. And I panicked, and I told the officer, I forgot it, I don't know what to do, I forgot it. I was so upset, and I was so worried about what might happen to me. Would I get separated from my crew, from my people? And he said, don't worry. It's okay. Just give me your full legal name. Tell me your date of birth. We will look you up in the system. You will be okay. It's okay. You don't need to worry about it. I didn't have my legal ID while I was being arrested, and I was told, it's okay, don't worry about it, we'll look you up, no problem. We get on the bus, and the officers are telling us some stories, and we're singing, and we're doing things as we're waiting on the bus for all 100-some of us to be loaded on their buses. And then we were driven to the airport police area on the airport grounds and went through the lengthy process of receiving a citation And then we were able to have our rides come and get us, and we were back. And because I didn't have my license, it did take me a while longer. I got moved from the first bus because they all got processed and released to the second bus, and then they got all processed and released, and I got moved to the third bus, and finally I was processed and be able to release. And I get back to the place that we started, and there was Jen and Kate. They're like, we're not leaving until you're here. We're not leaving until you're here. We are all in this together. No one is left behind. No one will be alone. Just as a coda to that story, I don't know exactly what will happen. We all did receive a citation. As part of this process, for those that might engage in this, it is well choreographed and well supported. And we have a call with our legal team coming up in about a week, where we'll find out what the strategy is for us to take as a collective, or for people to make a choice that makes sense for them as an individual. How we can use the dynamics of the court system to be able to keep the reason why we got arrested alive. We might not have that opportunity, but it is part of the strategy when one is engaging in civil disobedience to not only deal with the arrest, but all of the components after that. I don't know if I'm charged right now. The charges were trespassing and disobeying a police order. I don't know if I will be charged with a misdemeanor or a petty misdemeanor, or if the charges will be dismissed. But because I am your minister, I do want to tell you what I am facing so that you can be aware of it. But this is not like a jail time type offense. It is a fine type offense. Something that I have experienced once before, and our case got dismissed before we could see the judge. So that might happen. That might happen. And then, that was Friday. I did not join the crowds downtown. Some of my colleagues left from the place we were gathered and just went on downtown, and I could not do that. I was pretty beat. And I watched it online, as some of you might have, and saw my March colleagues were brought up onto the stage in Target Center, and I was so proud to see them. And Saturday, I packed my bags, and we brought the dogs to the kennel, and I left on Sunday for Albuquerque to join what happens every 3 years, which is the UUMA, the UU Ministers Association Institute for Learning Ministry. We have such long, complicated names for things. But it is meant to affirm, just like all of us in life, that we are always learning, we always are growing, we are always changing. We never, ever can be complacent in who we are as people and the roles that we occupy. And this is a time to be in collegial relationships, to rest, to recharge, and also to deepen into the work of ministry that we are called to. And Brian, my spouse, came with. We decided to make this a co-working event. He would work from Albuquerque, I would work from Albuquerque, and we would try to rest and recharge a little bit together away from the Twin Cities. It took 18 hours to get to Albuquerque. Our connecting flight was canceled. Oh, some of my colleagues took 3 days and had to abandon. I had some of our Minnesota colleagues went through Dallas and got stranded, and then just rented a car and drove the 10 hours to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah, it was a cluster. Brian and I managed to get there after leaving at 4 in the morning, and we arrived at 11:30 p.m. that night. And got to see the Atlanta airport for 8 hours. But we made it. And I tried so hard to go to Institute. There were a bunch of us from Minnesota there. They created space for the Minnesotans to kind of have time. They created space for those that were not from Minnesota, who answered the call to Minnesota to come. This was a multi-faith, that call was a multi-faith. There are people from all kinds of traditions, but the UUs, we show up. We might be tiny, but we show up, and we were the largest denomination that was present, along with our Jewish friends and our friends from the United Church of Christ, and then a whole bunch of other people. But I arrived in Albuquerque, and I hadn't known if I should go. I consulted with some of my colleagues to say, should I go? Should I be? I feel like I should be here. What's happening? I should be here. And they're like, go. It's okay to go. You need to go. We all take shifts for the revolution. Go. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go and I'll continue the work of organizing our UUs. That's my job at Moose Jaw. I'll keep doing that work of organizing UUs. And on Monday night, we had our opening worship, and I could not go. And on Tuesday morning, I went to my session. There were 9. The track I chose was Meeting the Moment. And, oh crap, I'm talking way too long. I tried to go to the session. And about halfway through, I just walked out. I didn't go back to the session again. I ate lunch a couple times for the lunch that we were given. I gathered and huddled up with my colleagues. I stayed in my hotel room. I negotiated desk space with my honey. I tried to answer emails and I didn't. I don't quite know what I did. I got a cold. I was really sick. I was coughing a lot. Can I see that, the readings? I didn't listen to advice number 4, which was pack light and be ready to leave, because that was my intention. I was going to go to Albuquerque, and if I needed to leave, I would leave, and I didn't leave. I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. I was sad. I was exhausted. I had had hardly any sleep leading up to that big call. I was on the behind-the-scenes team responsible for all the registrations and a whole bunch of the logistical aspects, and I was up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every night preparing, as was the rest of the team. But I didn't deny reality, number 6. I faced the hard truths with courage and clarity, at least I think I did. And then I just said, it's okay. You are here, you are not in Minnesota. You are with beloveds. There are beloveds back home. Dear Carolyn was so gracious. I didn't get the order of service for today to her until Friday. And oh well, it worked out, including putting in the order of service a poem to be named that Terri got this morning. What is integrated into resilience is our interdependence. The two cannot exist without each other. And interdependence itself is iterative. It is a series of small, repetitive motions, practices that we engage in. And so I look back now, I got home at 9:30 p.m. on Friday. So I've been home a day. And I look back at that week. And one of the examples that Adrienne Marie Brown says in this interdependence connection to resiliency is to accept your inner multitudes. I am not turning against myself. I am multitudes. And that includes being vulnerable and allowing discomfort to lead the way, allowing this sense of lack of control to lead the way, to say yes, thank you to what is right there, to accept it with as much as you can, to learn from it, to not stay stuck there, and to return again and again. Ask me later what earth seed is, if you like. It comes from Octavia Butler's parable of the sower and parables of the talents. I had a little thing about that, but I'm not going to get into it now. You can ask me about it later if you're wondering, why the heck did you do 10 survival tips from Octavia Butler's Earth Seed series? It's a dystopian story that has come true. So I know we're at time, but if you all have just a tiny bit of patience, I would love if one or two people might be willing to add their story in brief of how resilience might be showing up or how multitudes might be showing up for you right now. It could be about what's happening in the moment. It could be what's happening at Scoof with our move. I don't take that lightly, that is not an insignificant milestone in the life of this church. All of this is change. All of life is change. And all of it can trigger us or challenge us or put us in a place where our resiliency can need to be brought to light in the context of our interdependency. So if anyone has a reflection that they would like to share or a response that you would like to share, and how do we recover and transform and survive, please come forward. And if not, we'll share it afterwards. This means announcements might be a little short. I know. Does anyone have anything they want to bring forward? It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. Or it can be big. Oh, good. There you go, Terri.
Sometimes living out here, it's hard to know what we should do. And I think, we've spoken about several of us, or quite a few of us have children in the Twin Cities. We have 3 daughters and their families. One of my daughters came to me this week when I was down in the city and said, "Mom, we need you. We need you close. We need you available." And that just spoke volumes to me, because I don't know what to do. I wonder if what I'm doing is enough, or it never feels like enough. We're needed in a way that is sort of the back support, the holding their kids in love as they do the front work, the really hard work, the everyday work. And so that was sort of just a big learning for me this week, that we just need to hold our kids and make sure they know that we're there for them, and whatever they need, we'll be there in a second.
So I'm Gail, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Cultural Jambalaya. And for 20 years, we have been providing schools with multicultural educational resources. And obviously this last year, with the dismantling of the Department of Education, it's absolutely destroyed our original set of programming that we've been doing successfully for a long, long time. And so one of the things that we're trying to do as a nonprofit is to refocus and pivot, find out what in the world we're going to be doing going forward. So briefly, we are starting a YouTube channel, and our first program is called Voices of Minnesota. And what we're trying to do is give people, leaders, politicians, students, teachers, parents, whomever, an opportunity to express themselves about what's going on in their lives right now, how they feel about it, and what they're thinking going forward. So we're just kicking that off, but that's an example of what we're trying, because there too, what in the world can we all do? It's a tough thing. And another thing too, aside from all of that, if you haven't heard of an organization called 5 Calls, I can't speak today, I need more coffee. 5calls.org. It is slick, easy, quick. You go online, you can make those calls to your politicians. It tells you who to call. It suggests what to say. It's the easiest darn thing in the whole world, and it takes just 2 seconds to do it. So if you have been a little bit hesitant about picking up the phone and calling your representatives, please call by using 5 Calls. It's really nice. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Gail.
Could I do something else?
Absolutely. Thanks, Judy.
This is a poem that was Joyce Vance, if you read her blog. This was in her blog today. It's a poem called If They Call Me a Domestic Terrorist, and it's written by Michael Dubois. If they gun me down in my own street someday, may my crime be compassion. May the record show from every angle that I was helping a woman up after they pushed her to the ground, that not even their weapons could stop me from extending my hand to those in need, that I was a walking example of the best my elders taught me, that everyone is equal and worthy of defending. If they tell the nation from the highest podium that I was a domestic terrorist, let it be known that my radical act was believing the best in people when they wanted nothing more than to divide us. To divide us.
May we be whole in our resilience, deep within, inherently ours, held and supported, felt and heard across the multitudes of community. May it be so, and amen.